Young ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all. Once again, you are welcome here on the Tribune for Awakening Consciousness. So this is the headline of international news. Donald Trump has completely failed against China, of course. In addition to the fact that Donald Trump has completely failed, Donald Trump is doing China's work. That is to say, everything he is doing, the tariffs he has imposed here and there. The favorable outcome goes entirely to China. And that, even the Americans have understood. Americans today are very uncomfortable. They are wondering why Donald Trump is working for China. China is hitting the commercial jackpot. China has won the trade war, at least for now. And Europe is in total panic. Europe no longer understands anything. Since Europe is unable to sell its products to the United States of America, and the European market is flooded. Since Donald Trump's decision, the European market has been flooded with Chinese products. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this video conference, we are going to talk about this victory of China. But as you know, of course, before continuing, please share the video conference. Please share it as much as possible in all available groups. Yes. So, in this life, there are certain decisions we make thinking they are good for us. However, it suits. That is to say, by wanting to gain too much, we lose without realizing it. The report is made by the Wall Street Journal, the American media outlet Wall Street Journal. So, with Trump's tariffs, China comes out as the winner. The European Union is in turmoil. And that is the headline of several Western media outlets, sounding the alarm. But with the pride of the president, we know from Uncle Sam's side, only God knows if he will reverse his decision. But this decision he made, which he believes will enrich America, is actually impoverishing America and bringing in a lot of financial windfalls in relation to his rival, which happens to be China. So what is happening? According to official information, while Donald Trump wields the hammer of tariffs, Xi Jinping unexpectedly wins the trade war. Unexpectedly. China didn't even expect this. It wasn't even prepared for this. But the games of chance make China come out victorious. How does China come out victorious? So, as the Wall Street Journal writes, the Chinese leader had an excellent week. Very pleased. There you go. The new American tariffs on imports have only strengthened China's position, both in Asia and in Europe. China's position has been strengthened in Asia and Europe because these new tariffs have been imposed. How China's position has been strengthened. Share the video conference. So Washington has imposed tariffs on products from several countries, including Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines. By doing so, the United States of America forces the players to return to China's embrace, from which America has worked to distance them. What does that mean, specifically? We have certain countries that America has worked hard to ensure these countries' attention is diverted from China, to create distance between these countries and China. These countries no longer imported their products to China. They were importing to the United States of America, because at the time the American administration had lowered tariffs, etc. So, America has exponentially increased again. So, it's a way of driving away foreign investors from these different countries. These investors, also not knowing where to go anymore, prefer to go to a global market where they don't have too many tariff issues. So, that's why these investors from these different countries have redirected towards China. So the Chinese market is experiencing significant growth, while China is also in the process of producing what is imported into Europe and to the United States of America, which used to pay a bit everywhere else to send to the United States of America and Europe. Now, they go to pay in China to send to Europe. Because first of all, in China, it's very expensive. In China, as they say, small money, small work. A lot of money, a lot of work. In China, it costs less. And when they pay over there, they enter Europe with it, almost without. So, customs duties, it doesn't cause a problem at that level. But they can no longer send to the United States of America since there are very exorbitant customs duties. So, there are several players, several investors from the American global market who have taken flight, who have fled. So the market in America is emptying. Meanwhile, Europe is being filled with Chinese goods like never before. Europe can no longer even control it. The goods just keep arriving. They arrive. They arrive. They just keep arriving. So, the Europeans who receive these goods, they no longer know what to do. Ultimately, Europe, which is already poor, people send their goods to sell and take the money out, sending it back home. So, Europe gains nothing. That's why Europe is in turmoil. European officials have started to meet to think. They want to control the flow. In Brussels, already people from the European Union have gathered to check the influx of goods onto their soil. Well, they want to increase customs duties. They want to implement a quality control system more advanced for the products coming into their territory. But if they do, and they won't even be able to, it won't help them because these products will still come in. And we're talking about the European Union. So the products will still come in. They need them. They really need them. So then they are facing the United States of America, and they too will not let the Europeans, will not let American products come in. They too will seek to impose taxes. So in the end, according to the Wall Street Journal, it's China that comes out as the winner. In any case, for the moment, at the stock market level, China's quotas have risen. They are booming. So, here's the situation Donald Trump finds himself in. And Europe's worst economic nightmare has just come true. Meanwhile, American media are being ironic. They say that looking at the consequences, it feels like Donald Trump is working for Beijing. They say except that Trump's goal in this standoff is the relocation of companies to the USA. Donald Trump was doing it so that companies, instead of being established elsewhere, manufactured and imported to the United States of America, would come and set up in the United States of America. And that would increase the American economy. But companies have anticipated it would make them shun the United States of America. So Donald Trump's policy did not work. And we have China rubbing its hands. Until when will this standoff last? We will continue to follow this news and everything that will result from it. We will come back to discuss it here on the Tribune of watchfulness, of awareness. So thank you for sharing this news as widely as possible. I will be back with you shortly, by the grace of the Almighty, with new updates. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.